hello. Happy Monday afternoon to everyone. Today, we're going to be talking about how to transition or how to create visions, or get yourself in a place where you can create a new vision. And sometimes that takes some patience and kindness to yourself, some work to create a new vision when you're going through some life transitions. And there's so many. And I don't know about you. Hey, Christina, great to see you today. I don't know about you, but sometimes I don't even realize I'm in a life transition, and then I realize that there's enough changes that it really is that. And they can be anything from something really big, like losing a spouse or somebody that's an integral part of your life, um, marriage, divorce. Hi, Kimberly. Great to see you today. And I can actually see you. I can see what you're saying. Yay! Um, so there's big life transitions and there's smaller life transitions, like kids going off to college or moving away, or something really. I changed jobs. Really, I sold a business that I spent 50 to 60 hours a week in, and then started working part-time in two different areas. And so instead of going to work with the same people every day and seeing all the clients, a lot of whom I'd known for many years, I was working in different practices where I didn't know everybody and different staff members, and then working from home part of the time. And I realized, because it changed my hours too, so it changed what friends I could see. And I was in the practice so much, talking to people all day, I didn't need as much social. And then as I transitioned to part of my time working from home, the structure and the needs to have a social life changed. And so, there's big ones and there's little ones, but all of them can involve, hey, Victoria, great to see you too. All of them can involve some grief, missing what was before, or even just not even realizing that you're kind of going along and you need to um, pick out, do some new things, or create a different structure. And sometimes when we're in those big changes, really hard, especially if you're grieving, to move. And you can grieve when you get a divorce. You can grieve, not to the same level as if you lose a spouse. But I just want to acknowledge that there is grief in some of the big changes. Um, and so, and you, when you're moving, when you're finding your footing to moving forward, one of the things is obviously being kind to yourself, and the other is softly thinking, trying to, developing some skills around how to, what makes you feel better, finding some new activities that you enjoy, and just being willing, as you are able to gain a little energy and out of kindness to yourself, to try different things until you find anything that makes you feel better is something to do. Because the more that you're able to find ways to feel better, the more that you'll be able to start letting things in that allow you to create a new vision. And then that vision, you don't have to imagine this giant, huge thing to call it a vision. I don't know about you, but a lot of envisioning, I've been taught, like, you envision something and it doesn't feel good because it feels unattainable. And so one of the things I want to give credence to and opportunity to, absolutely, Kimberly, grief is loss. And it's not just loss of the person, which is huge. It's loss of, when you have couple friends, it's different when you don't have your partner anymore. So your social circle changes. The things that you want to do, you don't necessarily want to do the same activities you did with your spouse. It doesn't feel good to you anymore. Now you have to find new activities that do feel good to you. And at first, that doesn't, it's hard. You're just getting through the day. But then as you start to get to a little bit better place, you have to start trying some different things, right? Because it's a learning curve, and we have to allow ourselves to be open to that, and, like, be okay if we try something and it's not as fun as we thought it was going to be. And I think it's always, always, always important to be willing to be a beginner again, no matter how old or young you are, and no matter what you've been dealing with. sometimes we're afraid to not be an expert at something, or not to do something totally new and be a beginner in a place where other people are not. But it's a great way to meet people. It's a great way to open your brain up. Really, really, that learning that comes with being new, it gives you compassion again for others, because you kind of forget that when you're really good at something. And it opens your life up to so much more opportunity when you're willing to do that. Christina said, what do you do when you're feeling unable to make any move at all because you're overwhelmed with the change or loss? That point in time, you really have to back up and be really simple. Um, because when you're feeling overwhelmed, and even taking on the challenge of taking care of my brother, one of the reasons that I struggled for a long time. So 3 years. Yes, Kimberly, absolutely can be a time of growth. The thing is one of the things we do that really hurts us in those situations is we beat ourselves up for being there. Like, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, why can't you do this? That's how you talk to yourself. And so one of the really important things to do is talk kinder to yourself, is allow yourself that space to, and find even the simplest things. If a bath makes you feel better, then take a bath. Be kind to yourself on those days when you can't get out of bed, and say it's okay. I've suffered a big loss because I love somebody very much, or the change is really big, and that can be, doesn't have to be a death loss. If you lost a relationship that you weren't ready to lose and they moved on, you've got to be kind to yourself. And then, but also, what I hope you find a way to do at some point is realize that if someone walked away, that there is the opportunity for someone better to come along as you learn and heal, that you are worthy. And that's hard to see at first, so we have to find some ways to find that by letting love in for ourselves in whatever way we can. If you have a precious friend that always makes you feel good, try to make some time for that friend. Allow yourself to show up less than perfect. I think one of the reasons we end up overwhelmed and staying that way is we don't let anybody in. I know I didn't. And so my go to response when I was feeling overwhelmed was withdrawal, right? And then how do we get the help we need when we do that? How do we let the love in when we do that? And so appreciation really helps, because you start to realize that when you appreciate that someone's reaching out, and you stop and you think about it, maybe you even journal about it. You may have to journal about it for a week before you can actually reach out and ask them. And Victoria says, how do you use vision mapping or visioning in general during times of transition? I I think it's important that you realize that you may not have that picture all at once, and that it doesn't have to be a whole picture. The first thing is anything that makes you feel good or you think might make you feel good, but you're having trouble doing it because you're struggling. Just try to use soft words. What would it feel like if I could, go out and have lunch? What would it feel like if I could talk on the phone to this person? What would it feel like, and use some soft words to allow that to open up for you. And so when I say vision mapping, I want you to realize it can be small, and you can envision just a small part of it. Like, we don't have to have the whole thing open up at once, because when we're overwhelmed, that's overwhelming. And so, but to get out of the place where we are, we want to use, yes, exactly, Kimberly, step by step, a little piece here, a little piece there, and that feels good. And don't look at anything else. Stay in that place that feels good. And then as you are able to allow some feeling good to happen, appreciate it. Journal it if you can, because writing is a very powerful way to reinforce that feeling and have you be able to recall it easier. Um, because you can go back and look at it and bring that feeling back that you felt at the time that you were writing it, and reinforcing those feelings of feeling good, and being able to savor them gives you a moment to get another place where you can have a moment and feel good. And that's really the point here, is it doesn't have to be big, it can be small. And that's so important, because that's not what we're I feel like when I've been taught visioning, it's from this big huge thing. And when I was in overwhelm, and the times that I've had major loss, that was overwhelming. So none of it happened. And then you're stuck for a longer time because you don't have the tools to understand that you can do step by step, and that you can be kind to yourself, and that you can let things unfold gently a little bit by loving the moment that you get and savoring that moment, and then writing that moment, and then another moment comes, and just let it be the little things. Because as you do that and you start to find things that you enjoy, and what happens is, you have to, from time to time, the tools that we've had to make us feel better don't work anymore when we have something really big shift, and we have to create new tools. If we understand that that's what we're doing, that's so helpful, right? Because we're kind to ourselves. Well, I think it's okay to even say, I don't really have a tool for this at the moment. So I'll have to think about it. The other thing that I think happens to us in those moments, I still have to be careful. There's a really good thing to understand when you lose it in some way or another. A lot of times there's enough stress, whether it's overwhelm or when your stress level gets above, say, a level 3, when it gets to 4 or 5, your cerebral cortex, which is the thinking part of your brain, shuts down, and you don't have very much access to it. And that's where the meltdowns occur, and the anger or the tears or the and if we understand that that's what's happening, I mean, sometimes I realize, oh, I haven't eaten, which is so easy to do when you're either busy or grieving, or you're making a transition and you're out of your normal routine. Then all of a sudden you realize, it's 2 o'clock and I haven't eaten. No wonder my cerebral cortex is shut down, and I just want to lose it over something that doesn't seem like it matters. Or I didn't have enough sleep, or gosh, when you're grieving, a lot of times sleep is difficult. And when you're routinely not getting enough sleep, that's stressful. So recognizing those things, if you don't have sleep, food can help. Um, and then finding ways to help yourself and be kind to yourself and allow yourself grace. And by that, I just mean recognize when you're beating up on yourself, and not continue, like, change that. And you can soften that. If you say, I should be doing better than this. And like, should's not a kind word. It really isn't. It's shoulding on yourself, similar to another word that sounds similar. And so it's like, I'm doing the best I can with the tools I have at the moment. I really am. And I know that God, the universe, love is going to come around me and support me and lift me up. And I know that this moment is going to pass, and I'm going to have easier moments and hard moments, but there's always going to be easier to help me along. Um, and then savoring every time you feel a little bit better, because you can't go from really down to really up quickly unless you've got a chemical imbalance. But you can make transitions, and if we're kind to ourselves about those transitions, and oh wow, and proud of yourself, notice when you are able to make yourself feel better. And the most important thing about that is, that's a tool. If you recognize that you did it, I did that, I thought of this, or I created this, or I did this thing, whether it was listening to music or a particular activity, or I just feel better because I took the pressure off myself. Allowed myself to take a nap. I was exhausted. I haven't been able to sleep at night. My brain wasn't functioning. I just went and laid down and I slept when I could. And I feel better. I feel better right now. You know what? I'm proud of myself because I feel better right now. And every tool that you find that works for you, recognize it. You might even write up a little toolbox kit so that when you're in that stage 4 or 5 stress and you can't think of anything, you just feel like you don't know how to do anything, you can go look at that list and try something. Create a favorite music playlist. And that may change over time, because you may have one that at first feels good, that's songs from the past, and then there may come a time where that doesn't feel good anymore and you're ready for new and different songs. So open yourself up that those transition tools may change over time as well. And your vision will start to get bigger and occupy more areas as you allow yourself to feel good. And that's the point I want to make. When you try to make a vision from a place of not feeling good, you can't even get started. But then, because you're not doing things to help yourself feel better, you're stuck. And so if you understand that you can create this vision by just finding any way that you can to feel better and developing tools to help you feel better, then you can begin to progress to a place where aha moments come and new ideas come and new transformation on what's next or what you want to do next or what feels good, and all of a sudden your vision begins to grow, and then you can start, and you will always want to create a vision from a place of feeling good. If you create a vision and it feels like it's not doable, that you're not going to be able to manifest it easily. Like it's going to be really challenging, or you may not manifest it because when you're not feeling good, you're not feeling connected, and connection is where you accept in the ideas that are coming your way. You see them and you respond to them and you feel them, and your vision can keep growing. So you don't have to create the biggest vision imaginable right off the bat if it doesn't feel good. Create the vision in a way that it feels good. Kimberly, retraining your brain is important. Yes. So reflecting on the positive things helps. Being proud of yourself it is so important. It is such a key. And being proud of ourselves, it's important our whole lives, but sometimes, I don't know about you, but I didn't understand that until I hit my hard times and my really big challenges. And so those were the times that allowed me to transform and get to live a different life and get to understand. And that's, to me, that's what extraordinary life is about, is retraining your brain. It's uh, and living from the inside out and not needing others' approval or others' opinions or to be who you are. And it's a learning curve, and to be kind to ourselves during that learning curve, and not feeling, one of the things that happens to us in big transitions, whatever they are, is there's people that we thought would be there for us that aren't, and people we had no idea would be there for us that are. And part of that is because people that we thought would be there for us, sometimes they don't know how. They have no idea how to be there for us. And we didn't know that. And then we find out when we're in that transition. But you always are able to have beautiful, beautiful people in your life if you just let whoever shows up that's supportive be that for you. And you let go kindly and lovingly. So you don't have to let them all the way go. But when someone can't be there for you, if you can let go of anger, resentment, those feelings, and just say, you know what? They're doing the best they can with the tools they have. And thankfully, God, the universe, is sending other beautiful people in my life that can do and support me in ways that they don't know how. And so that dance of different friendships and new things and opportunities, when you can allow that dance to happen, because you're not holding on to the way you want this person to do this thing for you. When you hold tight to that and you're mad and angry about it, then other people who could do that thing for you can't show up in your life because they're there, but you're not seeing them because you're focused on what you're not getting from the person you want to get it from. And that's why it's so important to try and be more fluid, and like in kindness to yourself, you're also kind to others. Okay, they love me, but they don't know how to do this. They're not capable of it. This is not who they are, and it's okay. I love them, and also I love this new person that's showing up that knows how to help me in this situation, that just knows how to be there and show, and I learn a lot. And sometimes people show up for a season. That's okay too. We hear that, and it's true. And sometimes you're still dear friends with people, but your schedules don't work anymore. Your life just changes enough that things are different. And finding our way not to, I want to say this carefully because I want to say it kindly. Sometimes we don't realize that we can choose different thoughts to help us get out of the space that feels so bad. And we sort of wallow in it, like we expect somebody else to get us out of it, and we don't realize that unfortunately it's all up to us. And fortunately or unfortunately, I mean, the good thing about it being up to you is once you learn how to choose, you're not susceptible to everybody else's moods and swings and bad choices or whatever, because you can choose yours no matter what. But it feels unfortunate when you want somebody else to save you, rescue you, change that for you, and actually it's your job, right? To start to find a way to think some different thoughts and get yourself in a different space. But once you start learning how to do that, you realize what a gift it is. because what if nobody showed up? You can do it. And it's not like there aren't going to be people as you do it. What I'm saying is, really and truly, nobody can get you out of the pit but you, in the sense that you have to wake up and be aware so somebody can help you. They can't, if they get in the pit with you, they can't help you out of it. So the friends that you really need are the ones shining the light in and loving you and believing that you can rise up and that you're going to be okay. And so that's a really important thing to know. Kimberly says seasonal friends can even be for a lesson that we need to learn and then celebrate when you. Well, yes and no, because that implies that God is giving us a lesson. And honestly, we do it to ourselves because we block certain things that attract certain things in. So, yeah, you get to learn the lesson, but not necessarily anybody did it to us but us, in how we attracted what we attracted by, if you're in, and I'll give you an example that makes more sense, I think. If you are in a place where you're really angry at some things that have happened, or and you go to work and you're just that person who's angry. If I'm trying to stay in a good place and do my work from a good place, I'm gonna love you, but I'm gonna leave you over there. I'm not gonna hop in and have the angry conversation and do the angry, because that's not the space I want to be in as a positive, person looking for. So what you're gonna attract is other people in that space that you're in. And so that's why that same concept applies all the way across the board in where we are attracting in who's coming to us or what's happening, or and sometimes we don't realize we're in that space. We think we're in a different space, and somewhere along the way there's part of us that hasn't caught up. So you're feeling better at some instances is not, and when you're not, you're attracting in someone who may be a little bit of a challenge, or you have learned behavior patterns from your childhood, with everybody there doing the best they can. There's a lot of things that our parents didn't know, that their parents didn't know, that puts you in a place of vulnerability for certain things repeating themselves, until you figure out, oh, I can change that, and then I can change what I'm attracting in, and the outcome. So I think it's very cool as we get to understand more and more that we get to have more control, and that we can create visions, and that we can create new lives, and that it doesn't have to be it. Yes, there are challenges, and yes, there are challenging times, but there can be beauty throughout those times when we look for it and we savor it. And that gives us the strength and the opportunities and the tools to keep growing and building a new life, and being kind to ourselves when we hit a painful spot again, and a new area for us to choose growth and look for, and heal within ourselves, really. So I hope these tools helped you tremendously. I hope you're able to, everybody got a nugget. I hope those of you who come back and listen to the replay get some nuggets that's helpful to you as well. And I look and I will be out of town next week. So we won't have our live on Monday next week. We will be back on in 2 weeks. Maybe we'll look for something that we can post for you to watch, a video or something if you'd like, for that time period. And certainly you can post questions anytime. So loved our time together today. You guys are amazing, and I really appreciate each and every single one of you. You're welcome, Barbara. Great to see you. Everybody have a great Monday and a fantastic week. Thank you.